history with LeBron James directly or indirectly influencing team moves and using media, podcasts, and other forms of media to do it. That's a fact.
Rich Paul has gotten delusional. As LeBron James's career is coming to an end, and LeBron James has clearly lost power and leverage in the NBA and with the Lakers, Rich Paul actually thinks his agency and his brand and his relationship with Adele and all that, Rich Paul is feeling himself.
If I was the Lakers, I would probably be targeting the Memphis Grizzlies as a trade partner for Jaren Jackson.
I know Rich Paul well enough to know that Rich Paul speaks for himself. But I also know how attached he is to LeBron and how he will speak for LeBron all day, every day. Won't say, he'll tell LeBron if he's wrong now. He'll tell LeBron if he's wrong. He'll speak privately, but he's always going to ride with LeBron.
The NBA just witnessed one of the most uncomfortable damage control situations of the season, and once again, LeBron James is at the center of it. Rich Paul, LeBron James' longtime agent and close friend, made headlines on his podcast after suggesting a shocking trade involving Austin Reaves. The Lakers fan favorite, who is reportedly putting up 26 points per game for the Memphis Grizzlies in this scenario, was mentioned as a possible trade piece for defensive powerhouse Jaren Jackson Jr. The reaction was instant chaos. Fans exploded, the Lakers' conversation went into overdrive, and suddenly LeBron appeared to be distancing himself from the comments made by his own agent. But here's where things get even more interesting. A lot of people aren't convinced by LeBron's attempt to separate himself from the situation, and Stephen A. Smith wasted no time putting both LeBron and Rich Paul under the microscope on national television. So let's break down why this entire situation is far more complicated and far more damaging than anyone wants to admit.
I would probably be targeting the Memphis Grizzlies as a trade partner for Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, that'd be a great fit.
I would.
For whom?
Well, that's the thing, because you got to figure out the package. This comes with
Austin Reaves.
This comes with a very unemotional attachment because Austin is beloved, which he should be.
But he's about to get paid.
He's an underdog.
Rich Paul went on his podcast and seemingly said what everyone else was thinking but wouldn't say publicly. Move Austin Reaves and bring in Jaren Jackson Jr. to improve the Lakers' roster balance. From a pure basketball perspective, the idea sounds reasonable. Adding an elite defensive big who can protect the rim and bring more defensive intensity would address one of the Lakers' biggest weaknesses. But the real issue isn't the trade itself. You don't publicly suggest moving LeBron James' teammate, especially a fan favorite who has become one of the most important pieces of the Lakers, when you're also LeBron's longtime agent and close friend. That creates questions about what might actually be happening behind the scenes. And LeBron moved quickly to separate himself from the controversy. Following the Lakers' latest win, LeBron told ESPN reporters that he had nothing to do with Rich Paul's comments. He immediately went into full damage control mode, making it clear he didn't want to be connected to the trade suggestion.
Know by now Rich is his own man, and what Rich says is not a direct reflection of me and how I feel, and I hope people know that. I hope people know that if they're not sensible to know that, then I don't know what to tell them.
LeBron went a step further, saying he never talks with Rich Paul about podcast topics and that Austin Reaves already knows exactly how LeBron feels about him. He argued that anyone assuming Rich's comments came from him is simply reaching. Sounds convincing, right? Not to Stephen A. Smith. The ESPN analyst completely rejected that explanation and pointed straight at the obvious issue nobody wanted to address. LeBron James and Rich Paul have been closely connected for more than 2 decades. They aren't two distant people who happen to know each other, they're longtime partners and close friends. And Stephen A. made another important point. Rich Paul is far from an inexperienced agent. He has spent years operating at the highest level of the NBA, helping negotiate deals, influencing major decisions, and building Clutch Sports into a powerful organization alongside his relationship with LeBron. So the idea that Rich Paul wouldn't understand the impact of publicly discussing Lakers personnel decisions is difficult for critics to accept. When you're LeBron James' agent, longtime friend, and someone who has been beside him throughout multiple championships and major career moves, your statements naturally carry extra weight. Whether that's fair or not, it's the reality that comes with being connected so closely to LeBron. And this is where the controversy gets even more complicated. Critics point to LeBron's long history of having significant influence over roster construction and team direction. Throughout his career, major roster changes have repeatedly happened around him, including situations involving Anthony Davis and Kevin Love. That history is exactly why some people aren't willing to simply dismiss Rich Paul's comments as random podcast talk.
History, with LeBron James directly or indirectly influencing team moves and using media, podcasts, and other forms of media to do it.
So when Rich Paul publicly brings up the possibility of trading Austin Reaves, the NBA immediately starts connecting the situation back to LeBron. And honestly, it's easy to understand why. These two have operated as an incredibly influential partnership for well over a decade, making it difficult for people to believe their public statements are completely unrelated. The timing only adds more fuel to the speculation. LeBron exercised his reported $52 million player option, while many around the league viewed this season as potentially his final chapter in Los Angeles. The Lakers are competitive, but they still don't look like a true championship favorite. Denver remains a major obstacle, Oklahoma City is another serious threat, and the Lakers have obvious roster weaknesses to address. Then there's Austin Reaves. He's putting together a breakout season, but his future contract could become extremely expensive. That leaves the Lakers with a major decision: commit significant money to their backcourt or preserve flexibility to build a deeper, more balanced roster around an aging LeBron. That's why Rich Paul mentioning a potential Reaves for Jaren Jackson Jr. type of move doesn't sound completely random to critics. From their perspective, it could be viewed as a message about the direction the Lakers should take. And that may explain why LeBron is working so hard to distance himself from the comments. But then Jason Whitlock took the controversy to another level. Whitlock launched into a harsh critique of Rich Paul, arguing that the longtime agent has become too powerful and too disconnected from reality. He pointed to Paul's rise from humble beginnings to running one of the biggest sports agencies in the world, suggesting that his close relationship with LeBron played a major role in that transformation. Whitlock even compared the situation to power: two close partners who build an empire together before eventually finding themselves caught in a battle for control. Could that really happen with LeBron and Rich Paul? Are we watching the early stages of a breakup between one of the most powerful partnerships in sports? Because at its core, this controversy isn't really about Austin Reaves. It's about influence. It's about leverage. And most importantly, it's about who actually has the biggest say in the future of the Lakers. Rich Paul has built an enormous sports agency, with Clutch Sports representing a huge number of professional athletes and major contracts. But critics argue that his extraordinary rise can't be separated from LeBron's early support, endorsement, and trust. That history is exactly why every public comment from Rich Paul involving the Lakers gets examined under a microscope.
NBA circles knows that LeBron James has been the primary recruiter for Clutch Sports, that he helped build Clutch Sports. I mean, are we really to believe that Rich Paul, a guy who at the time was like 32 years old, just started one of the biggest sports agencies in the NBA on his own?
The potential conflict of interest has always been obvious. The NBA has reportedly examined LeBron's connections to Clutch Sports on multiple occasions and found no wrongdoing. Still, around the league, people understand just how important LeBron has been to the agency's rise. That's what makes Rich Paul speaking publicly about Lakers personnel decisions so complicated. If he starts suggesting moves that could potentially improve LeBron's championship chances, it creates an uncomfortable dilemma. Either LeBron was aware of the message and is now distancing himself from it, or Rich Paul truly acted independently and put his closest friend in an awkward position on a national stage. Neither scenario is ideal. And the Austin Reaves discussion represents something much bigger than one possible trade. It reflects the debate surrounding player empowerment and how far that influence should extend. Agents are now public figures. Podcasts can become platforms for testing ideas. And sometimes the line between representing a client and influencing an organization becomes incredibly difficult to see. LeBron played a major role in giving Rich Paul the opportunity to become one of the most powerful agents in sports. But when someone rises that quickly and gains that much influence, the relationship can naturally become more complicated. That's where the criticism of Rich Paul comes in. He went from having a modest start in Cleveland to becoming the head of a massive sports agency, regularly appearing around NBA stars and major events. His success story is undeniable. But critics argue that immense power can change how someone operates and how they perceive their own influence. The bigger question is whether LeBron still has the same level of control over the partnership that he once did. Stephen A. Smith's criticism of agents using podcasts also deserves attention. Traditionally, agents operated mostly behind the scenes. Their job was to negotiate contracts, protect their clients, and work strategically without becoming the center of the story. But when the agent becomes the headline, the situation changes. Whether LeBron approved Rich Paul's comments or not, their partnership has played a major role in shaping the modern era of NBA player empowerment. They helped demonstrate how much influence superstar players and their representatives can have over careers, contracts, and roster decisions. But even the strongest partnerships eventually face pressure. Maybe LeBron is telling the truth. Maybe Rich Paul really did make the comments independently. Maybe the entire situation was simply a misunderstanding that became much bigger because of media coverage. Or perhaps critics are right that this was a way of testing the reaction to a potential idea while keeping LeBron at a distance. Put the concept into the public conversation, see how fans and analysts respond, and then decide whether it deserves further consideration. Either way, Austin Reaves shouldn't be reduced to a pawn in a larger power struggle. He has earned his role through his performances and has become an important part of the Lakers. A trade for defensive help could make sense on paper, but basketball decisions aren't made on a spreadsheet alone. Chemistry, trust, production, and team identity matter too. So who is actually telling the truth? Is LeBron genuinely uninvolved in Rich Paul's comments? Did Rich Paul simply speak for himself? Or was this an indirect way of testing the waters while maintaining plausible deniability? The truth may never be completely clear. But Stephen A. Smith's central point remains. When two people have built an empire together for decades, it's difficult to convince everyone that their decisions and public statements exist completely independently. That's the modern NBA, where podcasts can influence conversations, agents can become celebrities, and superstar players have unprecedented power over their careers. The Austin Reaves trade rumors may eventually disappear. The bigger questions about LeBron, Rich Paul, influence, and the increasingly blurred line between representation and team control are much harder to erase.